how do you represent? Sometimes a method may take some list of variables, okay, so list of elements. So in that case, you can mention that the argument is going to receive certain list of elements. So how do you represent it? So you will be putting an asterisk in front of the argument. Okay, so you'll be just putting an asterisk, okay, so or a star in front of the argument name. So you can see here, like many built-in functions like max and min, they take some variable length arguments and they compute the maximum among the elements that it has received, the maximum element it returns, and the minimum element, computing the minimum element among the list that is provided as input to it. So they take in variable length arguments. Okay, right. And here the variable length arguments are in terms of tuple. Okay, and how do you mention it? You mention it with an asterisk. Okay, so star is known as the gather operator over here, and it specifies a variable length argument. So we have seen this with an example. I have put it in all the three examples, I have put it in a single place so that it is easily understood. So you can see in the first case, I'm having a method. Okay, so I'm having a method which is an add method, and this add method is taking is having an argument which is num. Num is going to receive some values. Okay, so this is the body of the method. At the body of the method, I just wanted to show you what is the type of num. So I just have written type of num. And then this is the logic wherein I am trying to compute the sum of the numbers that this method receives. So herein, I have taken a tuple wherein this tuple is having 5 and 6 as its elements. Here into this particular add method, I passed a tuple. Okay. So since the receiving end is also a tuple, so it converts the receiving things into tuples. So I don't need to do anything. I can simply pass a tuple because both the types matches. So here, for your understanding sake, like you just wanted to know like what's the type of num, I have given the type to be num, and it computes the sum of these two numbers like 5 plus 6, which is 11. So it is printing 11 on the screen for me. Okay, so this is the first example. Now coming to the second example, what I'm doing here is, in this example, there is no tuple over here. I'm directly passing some values. Okay, so I said 1 comma 5. If this was a tuple, there would not have been any problem. But since this is not a tuple, I'm just passing the numbers 1 comma 5 comma 6 comma 2 comma 1 directly into this particular num. It is saying that you cannot do like that, because num can take only one value. You cannot pass values like this. Okay, so it is saying add takes one positional argument, but 5 were given. So the description of the error is also very clear over here. So it is saying like you're passing 5 literals, 5 values for one variable. So that is not possible. So that's the reason why you got an error over here. So to say that this particular num have to take variable length values, you can put a star over here. So I hope everybody understood why we are putting a star. So this star before the argument represents that it has to take variable length arguments. Okay, so it will be taking multiple values. Then internally what it will do is it will take these numbers like 1 comma 1 5 6 2 and 1, all these numbers, it will create a tuple and it will navigate them. Okay, right. So this star giving over here represents that this is going to take multiple values. Okay, and so the opposite of gather is scatter. So what we are doing here is this, whenever you give star to a method, it means that it is gather only. Okay, but here the method that we have given, so we have given a div mod method, which is a built-in method. There is a description for this particular div mod method. Okay, so the div mod method will be taking only two arguments. These two arguments say that it can be integers or floats, but it cannot be a tuple. Okay, so the div mod cannot take a tuple. The function accepts only multiple values, not a tuple. Okay, so this is already a built-in function which is having its own definition. So the function definition is that it can take only multiple values. That is, it can take only two arguments. And the return type of this div mod is a tuple. okay, but it cannot take a tuple. Okay, so it cannot take a tuple. So now what you have to do is here, since the input itself is tuple, so we are having a tuple and you want to pass a tuple into this particular div mod. In that case, what you can do is, since this entire thing is considered to be one parameter, so you cannot give that into div mod. It is expecting two, but you are sending only one. You can see that here in the output. So when I have directly passed the tuple into div mod, thinking that it will take 10 and 2 as two individual elements, but it didn't take it in that manner. What it is telling, type error it is showing. It is showing that div mod expected two arguments, but it just got one tuple. Okay, so this is the error that it is showing. So what you have to do over here is, if you put a star for this kind of built-in functions which cannot take a tuple, in that case, internally what it will do is, it will take tuple and split this tuple into individual elements. Now this 10 comma 2 will be splitted into one individual element and 2 as one individual element. So it will scatter the tuple into individual elements. So 10 comma 2 will be splitted into 10 as an individual element, 2 as an individual element. And now what it will do, it will apply this div mod method, whatever it is, the functionality of this method, it will apply that on it. And it will return the quotient and the remainder, which we are taking it into this particular compound assignment. Okay, so wherein we said that the return type is tuple, so the tuple can be assigned to Q and R like this compound assignment. So the first result will be taken into Q and the second result will be taken into R, where first is quotient and the second is remainder. Okay, when I print, the quotient is 5 and the remainder is 0. Okay, so for this kind of built-in functions, you need to scatter because they have got their own predefined functionality and they have got their own predefined definition for the method. Okay, right. So this is regarding gather and scatter. And the next method that we're going to see in tuples is zip function. Okay, so what is the functionality of the zip function? We'll see here with an example. Okay, so it's a built-in function that takes two or more sequences. Okay, so it takes sequences. It can be tuples, it can be lists, it can be sets. Okay, so it can be dictionaries, whatever it is going to take two sequences and zips them into list of tuples. Okay, so it groups them into list of tuples. Now I have taken a tuple over here, so which is having three elements 10, 2, 5. And I have taken a list which is ABC, and I have taken a dictionary which is having a key and value pair, and the key over here is name and the value is Sudha. Okay, now what I'm doing, I am actually zipping it. Okay, so I zipped over here. So when I zip T comma L comma D, so this is taking two or more sequences. That's what the description of the function says. Okay, so this function takes two or more sequences. So it is taking two or more sequences. Like I said, T, L, D, all these three are passed. Now it will be generating, it will zip it together and generate a tuple. How it will zip is, it will take the first elements of all the three things. Okay, so the first elements are 10 from tuple, A from list, and then this name from the dictionary. Okay, so it will take the key over here. So the key is name, right? So the first, since I just have only one over here, so I just got one pair over here. But if I'm having another key and value pair over here, I will get 2B and that also. Okay, so since I just have one key over here, it just paired with the first elements of all these things, all these three sequences. So I got output as 10, A and name. And after this, what I'm doing is I'm converting it into a list. Okay, so I just converted it into a list, and that is also possible. So I just have converted it into a list. In the second case, I just have combined tuple and list. So there are three elements. So all the three, based on their positions, they are matched. Okay, so first element will be 10A, and second element will be 2B, and the third element will be 5 and 6. Okay, and again I converted into tuple. So this explicit conversion, you can do it. Okay, so I just wanted to show all of this in a single program. And the next one is I have zipped this one, right? But now I'm converting it into a dictionary. So when I converted it into a dictionary, so what will happen is the first element will become the key and the second element will become the value for me, key value pair, right? So you know the dictionary will be having key value pair. So there won't be any indexing in dictionary. Okay, so the key will become the point of reference. So here 10 will become the key and A will become the value. Like that it will be converting. So zip is a very helpful function for you when you have different data and you want to combine them together. You can just use this zip function. Okay, is the zip function clear to everyone in my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay, now we'll just go through the advantages of tuples over lists. So look into the first difference. Okay, so we are just looking into the advantages, and this is very, very important for your placements. Okay, tuples are faster than lists. Okay, so why they are faster? Okay, so they are faster because they are static lists. Okay, so you cannot make changes because tuples are immutable. Okay, so you cannot make changes. That's the reason why tuples are considered to be faster than lists. Okay, and because they have constant set of values, and they go easy on the processors. Okay, so because lists are very dynamic. Okay, so it's they compared to tuples, they are much slow. Okay, so this is the first reason. And the second reason is tuples can be, another advantage of tuples is that tuples can be used as keys for dictionaries. Okay, so tuples can be used as keys for dictionaries, but lists cannot be used as keys. Okay, so lists cannot be used as keys, but tuples can be used as keys for dictionary. Uh, so to just give you an example, say for example, I'm having a coordinate. Okay, so I just wanted to represent XY coordinates. Okay, say I want to represent XY coordinates as the key, and then I have some associated value. Okay, so at that particular point, I just wanted to say that there, at this particular point, something is there, something is recorded. Okay, so so to represent this XY coordinates, I can use tuples. Okay, so this is the key, right? So I can say at 0, 0. Okay, so X and Y values being 0, 0. I can say something is over there. Okay, so this is represented. Okay, so this can be the key in the dictionary, and this is having some associated value over here, wherein I'm representing the key in terms of tuple. Okay, so wherein it can be the coordinates. Okay, it can be the XY coordinates, but you cannot represent the lists as the keys into the dictionaries. Okay, so this is another advantage. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so the third one is tuples are write protected. Write protected means that immutable. Okay, right. And the next one is when the number of values are known and small, we can use tuple rather than list. Okay, and also another reason is like if you are having a heterogeneity in the data that you want to represent in the tuple. Okay, so then what, so for example, I have a data. Okay, so and the data is heterogeneous. Okay, so what does it mean by heterogeneous? Heterogeneous means that it is having different kinds of data in it. It is having integers, it is having floats, it's having all kinds of data it is having. Okay, so strings it is having. So when the data is in heterogeneous format, it is better you take a tuple. Okay, so the choice should be tuple. And if there is homogeneity, if you want to represent homogeneous data, it is better you take a list. Okay, so that's the reason generally we'll associate arrays to lists in Python. Okay, so we'll say arrays wherever, whenever you're writing a logic like wherein you need an array. If you want to write the same thing over here, like you'll be choosing a list, you won't be choosing a tuple, because if there is homogeneity of data, the choice would be tuples. If it is I mean, if it is heterogeneity of data, if the data that you want to represent is in heterogeneous, like multiple kinds of data, then you take tuples. Okay, so if there is homogeneity, meaning that it's a list of marks. Okay, so I just have list of marks. Okay, marks list is there, so all the data is same, right? So it is like the floating data. So in that cases, I can just choose list. Okay, and if the list is, if the data is small, okay, and number of values are already known for you, like you know that it's a fixed data, like you're not going to add anything to it, and you know that this is the data that I'm going to use. Okay, so there are no additions or there are no deletions into the list in the frequent time. So in that cases, like you will be choosing a tuple rather than a list. Okay, so multiple values from a function can be returned using tuples, which we already have seen with an example of div mod. And tuples are used to format strings. What does it mean by format strings? I hope you remembered that %d and all, which I have written in the print statement. How did I write that? I said print, right? So I wrote print, and then I'm saying the value of, and then what did I do? I have put after the double quotes, what I'm doing, I'm putting a percentage, and inside the percentage, after the percentage, I'm giving the list of variables over here, right? So I'm giving the list of variables over here. So what is this? This is a tuple. Okay, so tuples are used to format strings. Okay, so these are all the advantages of tuples over lists. Are the advantages clear to my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So we have finished lists and tuples. In today, get into the concepts of sets. Okay, right. So what is a set? Okay, sets are same as lists, but with the difference that they don't have duplicates. Okay, so there cannot be duplicates inside a set value, but it's not an error. We'll look into it. Okay, so even if there are duplicates in the set, it doesn't throw you an error, but it doesn't consider them. That's it. Okay, right. So say I'm having 1, 2, and 2, it will take it. But when you want to handle a set, okay, so when you want to use a set, it will just take 1 and 2. Okay, so it will just ignore the other 2, which is a duplicate. Okay, so they're same as lists, but with the difference that they don't have duplicates. And set is mutable. Okay, so what does it mean by mutable? Mutable means that you can change the values of a set. Okay, and because I said like sets are same as lists, so you can understand that it all the operations that you perform on the list, maximum you can perform on the sets, but the difference is that it doesn't have duplicates. Okay, and unordered collection of items. Okay, so what does it mean by unordered collection of items? Unordered collection of items means that when you try to print the output, okay, so of the set, say in the set like you have given 1, 2, 3, 4, don't expect the same order to persist in the output. Okay, so the same order will not persist in the output. In the output, maybe it will be 3, 4, then 2, 1 and all that. Okay, so the order will not be there. So that's the reason why we are saying it's an unordered collection of items. Okay, right. So I hope you understood what is a set. What is a set?
It is same like a list, but it is do not have duplicate values.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we'll be trying to create a set. Okay, so a set is created by placing all the elements inside the curly braces. Okay, so for the list we are using square bracket. Okay, for the tuples we are using the round brackets. Okay, or you can also say that they are parentheses. Okay, and for the sets you will be using the curly braces, which are also called as the mustard brackets, or you also say that they're the flower brackets. Okay, right. So these are the curly brackets, and a set is created by placing all the elements inside the curly braces separated by comma. This is what we are seeing for everything, right? For list, we are saying list is created by placing all the elements inside square brackets separated by comma. The same thing for the tuple also. Okay. So for the same thing for the set also. Okay. So the syntax for set is, so what's the syntax for the set? So how do you create a set? So this is the set variable. So I have a set variable here, which is equal to, then I have this curly brackets. In between this curly brackets, you will be giving the values separated by columns. This val1, comma val2, comma val3, and so on. There is no limit for the number of elements in a set. So you can have n number of elements. That's how we are representing it. Okay, and they can be of variable data types. Okay, so it can be an integer, it can be a float, it can be a character, it can be a string, whatever you want, you can put it in a set. Okay, so there is no restriction in the data types inside a set. So I just have 10. Okay, so 3.5, which is a float, 10 is an integer, a is a character, and I said single quotes lo Sudha and Pettanu, so this is a string. Okay, so then when I try to print it, so it is printing the elements for me, but make an observation that the order in which I have given over here did not persist in the output. Okay, so it's not same in the output. So it has given 10 over here. After 10 in the input, like while I was creating the set, I have given 3.5, which is a float. But here in the second position, it didn't give me a float. Okay, so it gave a string over here. So the order of the elements have changed. This may not be the case if I run it once again. Okay, so maybe in the next case it might give me something else. Okay, or maybe it may also give me in the same order that I have given. Okay, but just understand that it's an unordered collection of items. Okay, right. So then I got an A and then I got 3.5. So this is what is called as unordered collection of items. Okay, so here we are seeing how to create a set using set constructor. Okay, so there is a constructor over here. I already told you all the things in Python are classes and objects. Okay, so everything is an object. So you do have a constructor which will have the same name as the class name. So the class name is set. So the constructor name is also set. So inside the constructor, I'm passing the elements which I want to consider to become a list. Okay, so I have given so many elements over here, wherein you can see there are duplicate elements also. So I have given 1 3 times and I have given 2 times and all that. It's not throwing me an error. So you can see in the output that it is not throwing me an error. It's not saying like duplicate elements are not allowed, nothing like that. It just processed internally. It just have eliminated the duplicates and just have printed the unique elements for me in from the input that I have given or from the values that I have given. Okay, so every element is unique in the set. Okay, so there won't be any duplicates. So this is how I'm creating a set. What is the other way to create the set? This is how it is creating a set, right? We are saying set variable. So here S is the set variable and I said is equal to, and then I have put a curly braces. And then inside this, I'm giving the values, right? Value 1, comma, value 2, comma, up till value n. So this is how I create a set. But other than doing this, other than giving the syntax like open curl brackets, I just have created a set by using the constructor, okay, set constructor. So herein, I'm creating in the format that we already learned, the syntax, provided syntax. So even here, I am giving duplicate elements. Okay, so I gave 2 times and 3 2 times and all that. So what it is doing, it is eliminating 2 and 3 and it is giving me the output. So you can observe that from this, that set will be containing elements which are unique. Okay, so set will not be having any duplicates. But this is not the case with the list. Okay, so if I print the list, I'll be getting 1 2 2 3 3, even order will be persisting. Now this is another example wherein we are using string. Okay, so we'll just look into it. We are converting a list into a set and a string into a set. So this is a list. So you can see the open and the closed square brackets over here. So this is a list. And I just named my list to be L over here. So I said L is equal to 1 2 3 4, and there are duplicates in the list also. Okay, and in the next case, what I did is I have used the explicit conversion mechanism. So I just have passed L into this particular set. Okay, so what happened over here? So L is passed and the L will be converted into set and it is printed because I'm having another print method over here. So it is taking and it is printing. So this set is returning me a set. Okay, so you can understand that the return of the set is a set itself. Okay, the set it created. Okay, so the set is returning a set that it created from the list that it has taken as an argument, and that set is printed by using the print function. Okay, right. So it has eliminated the duplicates and it has created a new set, which is 1 2 3 4. And then 1 2 3 4 you can see is now a set. You can see the curl brackets over here. Okay, so in the next step of the program, I have given an instruction wherein I have created a tuple. Okay, so this tuple is having duplicate elements as well. Like I'm saying P and P are there and L, 2 P's and 2 L's are there. And when I'm passing this tuple into a set, it is creating a set, eliminating the duplicates, and it is returning the set that it has created. And the print function will print the set. Okay, so you can see a curl brackets over here where the tuple is converted into a set over here. And in the next case, I have taken a string wherein I said S is equal to Seenu, and then I'm converting this string into a set. Okay, so when I converted each and every character inside this particular string is converted into a element in the set. Okay, so S is converted to an element in the set, E is converted to an element in the set. But in the next case, I have again another E, because set cannot contain duplicates. This E will not enter into the set, and N is taken into the set, and U also is taken into the set. But you can see the order in which the elements are printed, it's unordered. Okay, so SENU is printed where one E is eliminated because of duplicacy. Okay, so when I print it, so this set looks like this. Okay, fine. In the next case, what I did is I have taken a string and I used this split function. So I applied this on this particular string. So the order is persisting. So you can see that welcome to, so each and every word over here is separated by a comma space, and the default delimiter is space over here. So it will cut these words based on the delimiter, which is a space. Okay, so it is littered. Now welcome is the first word it identified. After that there is a space. So it is taking welcome to be one element. It is splitting this particular string based on the spaces. Okay, because the default is space. So I said welcome to, we already have seen this split in strings. Okay, right. So I said welcome to my Python class by Sudha, I said. So each and everything is converted into an element inside the, you can see like it is giving me a list. Okay, so I have the default. Okay, so this particular operation will return a list for me. Okay, but I want to convert it into a set. I can simply use an explicit casting over here. So I said set. When I have used set, what happens is this particular split returning a list over here will convert it into a set, and you can see that it converted it into a set, and the order in which the words are splitted are in unordered format. Okay, so they are not in the same format like they appeared in the list. Okay, so this is an example wherein we have understood many things. Okay, so we have taken a list, converted into a set. We have taken a tuple, converted into a set. We have taken a string, converted into a set, and we have taken a split method, applied it on a string, and then we observed that the return is a list. So you can also convert this return type into a set by typecasting it. Okay, so explicit typecasting. So I just put a set over here. So this is converted. And also we are seeing that when you are converting a list into a set, or a tuple into a set, or a string into a set, the duplicates are eliminated. Okay, and the ordering is not same like what ordering it was before. Okay, so that's the reason why we are saying set is unordered data structure. Okay, is this program clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next is set operations. So there are 4 set operations. We'll look into many others also, but these are the basic 4 set operations. The first set operation is union operation. Second operation is and the third one is difference, and the so you can make will be the result when you apply union on 2 sets. Okay, when you apply union on 2 sets, you can see the diagram. Okay, so everything is colored, meaning that everything from A and everything from B will be given as the resultant. Okay, so it is A or B, everything. Okay, so everything from A and everything from B, everything will be given as result. Now coming to the intersection. Okay, so intersection is the commonalities between A and B set. Okay, all the common elements between A and B will be given as result. Okay, so if I take a difference between A and B, all the elements only in A will be given as output. If I take the difference between B and A, then all the elements in B only will appear in the result. Okay, so in the difference, I can take A minus B, or I can say B minus A also. When I take A minus B, all the elements inside A only. Okay, so elements in A only will be given as the result. When I say B minus A, elements only in B will be given as the result. Now, what is symmetric difference? Symmetric difference is that elements only in A and only in B, not the common ones. Okay, so that is symmetric difference. I want all of you to make a note of this particular diagram. So what are the four set operations?
Union, intersection,
Union,
difference,
difference,
symmetric difference.
symmetric difference.
And symmetric difference, right? What will be the output of union? When I apply union on two sets, what will be the output?
It gives whole result, ma'am. A and B.
Intersection?
In intersection,
It gives the
gives
common elements, ma'am.
Difference? What's the outcome of difference?
It gives only A's part, ma'am. A minus B.
Only elements in A, okay, not even the common ones, okay, so it doesn't give the common ones, only in A, okay. What is symmetric difference? I'll be getting the elements which are only in A and only in B, not even the common ones, okay. So these are the four operations. We'll see this with an example. Do you want the operations? Okay, so we are just read over here is I have taken two sets and I have taken two sets. Is A is equal to 1, 2, 3, and the second set is 4, 5, 3, 2. Particular format. I'll say A dot union B. Okay, so this B will be as an argument into the union function. Okay, so then what did I say? A dot intersection B. Okay, and I'm saying A dot difference B. This is A minus B. If I want B minus A, I'm saying B dot difference A. Okay, so if I want a symmetric difference, so what I'm doing, I'm saying A dot symmetric underscore difference. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is how I'm putting it in the program. So we'll see another example. So this is an example of practical examples. Okay, so these are the like real-time examples. So wherein we are having the list of men, and also we are having the set of bowlers. Okay, and now what we are doing is we want to find out the union, intersection, difference, and all that. Okay, say I want to find out who are the batsmen or bowlers. Okay, so then I'll perform an union between these two things. Okay, and say I just want, okay, so who are both batsmen and bowlers, meaning that they are in both the sets. Okay, so they are batsmen as well as they are bowlers. So if I want such kind of things, both, okay, so when I want both the things, then I'll do an intersection common. Okay, so when the common elements, you want to find out the common elements between the two sets. So for your understanding sake, I have taken a real-time example. So this real-time example will throw light. Like for example, I'm teaching database management system for the second years, which is again a very, very important subject. Okay, so there are like they need to write solutions for accessing the database. Okay, so say that this data is in the database, like cricket, say that ICI, okay, so that cricket team, right? So they are having this particular they are having this particular data in their database, and they want to know like who are the persons who can bat as well as bowl. Okay, so in that case they're querying the database, right? They want some results out of the database. Okay, so they cannot keep looking into the list of bowlers, and they cannot keep looking into the batsman comparing. Okay, so this kind of set operations will be very handy in cases like that. Okay, fine. So if you want to find out the players who are only batsmen, not bowlers, okay, so then you'll be doing the difference between the batsman set and the bowler set. And if you want to find out only bowlers, not batsmen, then the common things will go off. Okay, so then you are saying bowlers minus batsmen. Okay, and you want to know who are the players who are there only in one group, not even common ones. Okay, only in one group, then you will use this symmetric difference. Okay, so this is one of the real-time examples wherein you're having a data, and this is how these can be the queries that you want to pose on the data. Okay, and this set operations will come very handy to you to actually get the results out of this particular database. So the results are over here, like okay, so both the sets, this is union operation, and who are both batsmen and bowlers. So I got a set over here, so this is intersection, and then we are saying only batsmen not bowlers. Okay, so this is A minus B, and this is B minus A, wherein I'm getting only bowlers not batsmen, and this is symmetric difference. Okay, so who are only in one group. Okay, fine, this is the output of that particular program. Is that clear to everyone in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so now let us look into how to use relational operations inside the set. Okay, so Boolean value, it results in true or false. Okay, so if you're using S1 equal to S2, so it says like equality, right? If it is equal, it returns a true, else it returns false for me. So not equal to, so I'm saying S1 not equal to S2. Okay, so this also results in a Boolean. Then I'm saying S1 less than or equal to, but for what equality it checks. Okay, so if I'm saying S1 less than or equal to, it means that S1 is subset of S2. I hope everybody know these concepts of subsets and supersets and proper subsets and all this. These are very important for your understanding. It's a basic mathematics thing. For example, I'm saying S1 is having elements like 1, comma 2, comma 3. Okay, so that say that S1 is having these three elements. Now I'm having another set which is S2. Okay, so now S2 is having say only 1 and 2. Okay, so say S2 is having only two elements, which is 1 and 2. Now what do you say S2? S2 is a proper subset of S1. Okay, so you say that it is a proper subset of S1. Okay, but say that S2 is having 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so say S2 is having 1, 2 and 3. So what do you say? You say that S2 is subset of S2 is subset of S1. Okay, because it's having all the elements. Okay, then you say that it is subset. But if it is having less elements, one element less than the S1, and all other the elements that is it's having are from the set S1, then you call that it is proper subset of S1. So I hope you understood this. Okay, so proper subset means one less. Okay, so proper superset, in that case you will say that you also say that, as like you are saying, it's vice versa of the statement that I have told you now. As I'm saying, like if it is just having 1 and 2 over here. Okay, so say that S2 is having only 1 and 2, then you say that S2 is like you're saying S2 is the subset of a proper subset of S1, right? In the similar way, vice versa of that is S1 is the proper superset of S2. Okay, so that's how you say it, right? It's a vice versa. So if you want to represent a proper subset, you'll just be using a less than comparison operator. If you want to say that it's a subset, then you'll be saying less than or equal to. Okay, if you want to represent a superset, then you will say greater than or equal to. But if you want to represent a proper superset, then you will say it is greater than. Okay, so this is these are all the operations and which will result in true or false. Okay, so I hope this slide is clear to everyone in the class. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so we'll try to apply this in the program. So here what I did is I am taking a set which is A is equal to 1, 2, 3, and I'm having another set which is B is equal to 1, 2, 3. Okay, fine. So what I'm doing now, I'm doing a comparison between A and B. So what I did, I want to check the equality between A and B. I just gave a double equal to, which is a comparison operation, which is checking for equality between two sets, which will return a true or false. If they are equal, it returns a true. If they're not equal, else it returns false. So here comparing these two sets are equal. So what it will do, it will return a true for me. So you can look that outcome in the output. Okay, so A is equal to. So I just gave a string over here because your output will be more readable and understandable. So I just gave a string over here saying what is the operation, for what it has given true. I just formatted my print statement in this manner. So I said A is equal to B, which is giving me a true because both the sets are equal. All the elements are equal over here. Okay, so now then I am checking for A not equal to B. Okay, so to B will return a true if it is not equal, false otherwise. So it is not taken two sets. C is equal to 0, 1, 3, 4 and D is equal to 5, 7, 8. There is no relation at all between the C set and D set. Okay, so that's why all the outcomes that I'm getting is false. So I want to check whether C is greater than D, which means that it is a proper superset of D. I want to check whether C is the proper superset of D. Okay, so it is greater than D. Okay, but in terms of number of elements in the, but it is not the proper superset. So that's why I'm getting a false over here. It is not a proper superset. So here we are saying that C is a proper subset of D. You are checking for C is the proper subset of D. No, it is not. So that's why it's written a false over here. You can actually explore by using the other operations as well. Okay. So is this slide and this program everyone in the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Concepts of set methods now. So the first method here is update method. What is the first method?
Update method.
Update method.
Update method. Okay, so what is the update method? Update method adds elements of one set into another set. Okay, so it adds elements of one set into another set by avoiding duplicates. Okay, so that is adds multiple elements. Keep this point in mind because we are going to see another method in the next second method wherein you will be needing this point. Okay, so the point is the update method adds multiple elements. Okay, so I have taken a list which is 1, 2, 3 and I have taken a set A is equal to 1, 2, 3 and I have taken another set which is B is equal to 3, 4, 5. What I did, I have applied this update method on these sets. So I said A dot update B. So what will happen? The set B will be added to the set A at the end. Okay, so anyway, the order will not be preserved anyway. But this output have given me the order like this, but it can jumble. Okay, right. So I'm printing A. So what will happen? I am getting this list where B has been appended to A. Okay, right. But it actually is removing duplicates because 3 and 3 is common in A set and B set. 3 has been removed. So I just have, 1, 3 has been removed. So what will happen? I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so it just removes the duplicates. Is this update method clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So let us look into the second method. The second method is add method. Now in your interviews, they'll ask the difference between update and add. Both look same. Okay, so both are adding elements to the set. Okay, so both are adding elements to the set, but the difference is that I have underlined a point in the previous slide. What is the point? I said, remember this point. You will be needing this point.
Adds
Remember
multiple
that.
elements.
Adds multiple elements. Okay, so here add will add a single element into the list. That's the difference between update and add. Okay, so if you want to add multiple elements into the set, you will be using the update method. Okay, so if you just wanted to add one element into the set, you will be using the add method. Okay, so that's the only difference between update and add. So here I have taken, so you can also read the description of the method, which reads as it adds the given element to a set by avoiding duplicates. Okay, so to add single element in the set, this is the difference. Now I said A is equal to 1, 2, 3 and I said A dot add 5. Okay, so 5 will be added into the list and I tried to add 3. Okay, so when I tried to add 3, what happened? 3 is already there in the set. Okay, so 3 is already there in the set. So what it will do, it will not add it. At the same time, it is not giving me an error also. Okay, so if you see, it is not giving me an error saying that 3 is already there and you have tried to insert 3 or nothing. It's not throwing me any exception. Okay, so when I try to print A, it is giving me the same set like this. Okay, so wherein you can observe that 3 is already there and so 3 is not added because set do not contain duplicates. Okay, so this is the add method. And the next method of the sets are like remove method. Okay, so what is the description of the remove method? The remove method removes a specific element from the set. Okay, so you can remove and it removes. Okay, so if the element is not there in the set, what it will do, it will give me a key error. Okay, so if the element which is a is equal to 1 2 3 and I applied this remove method on the set, but I want to remove an element which is 3, so I said a dot remove 3. 3 is there in the set. So what it is doing in the later statement, I have said print A. So it is printing the elements after taking off 3 from the set. Okay, so what are the rest of the elements? 1, 2. So I got a list 2. Okay, right. And in the next case, I am trying to remove a present in the set itself. Okay, so what it is doing, it is throwing me an error, which is a key error. Okay, so it's saying 5. So it cannot be removed because it's not present. The next method is discard method. So we are just, I try to put both the things in the single slide so that you will be able to understand the difference between remove and discard. So remove and discard functionality seems to be same. As the description of the discard says that same as remove, okay, same as remove, but doesn't give an error if element is not present. Remove and discard methods. Okay, so you can see in the output, like I try to discard element 5, which is not there in the set. Okay, but what it is doing, it is not giving me a key error or anything like that. Okay, and when I try to print A, it is printing the elements like 1 and 2 for me on the screen. Whatever is there in the set, it is trying to print the set, but wherein it's not giving me any error. Okay, the next method, so pop method returns, okay, remove and returns any arbitrary random element from the set. See, in the previous cases, like when we were discussing about list and when we were discussing, if we are not passing any arguments, what do? It removes the last element in the list. And if you are specifying the index number, it will be removing the element at that specified index. Okay, so that's actually the functionality in the list over there. Now here, because there is no particular ordering of the elements, because it doesn't unordered element set, right? Set is, this is a set which is unordered. So you cannot follow the indexing and all that. So what it will do is it will just remove any random element from the set. Okay, so the key error is raised if S is empty. If S is empty and you try to apply pop on this empty set, a key error will be raised. So I'm having a set which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I said S dot pop, and it has removed 1 from the set for me. Okay, and when I try to print S, I'm having 2, 3, 4, 5 in the set. Okay, so this is pop. Is pop clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
It can remove anything. Okay, so in this case, it has removed 1, but it can remove anything from the set. Okay, so next is clear method. So the clear method removes all elements from the set. So I have a set which is 1, 2, 3, and I said S dot clear. So when I said S dot clear, what is happening? All the elements in the set are removed and the set is empty now. So I wanted to show you this. Okay, so I have given a print S to show you that the set object is not lost. I am just having an empty set. That's it. Keep this in mind. It is very, very important. Okay, so when I apply clear method on a set, what happens? When I apply clear method on a set, what happens? All the elements in the set will be removed, but I'll still have the object. Okay, so I'll still have the object S. That's the reason when I try to print S, what is happening? It's showing me an empty set. Okay, so the object is still there. Is it clear? What is clear method? Is
Yes,
the clear
ma'am.
method? Yes, right? So the next is the len method. Len method returns the length of the set. So I have a set which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see that the length of the set is 5. So when I applied this len method, so what happens? I have passed S as an argument into this particular len method. So when I said len of S, what it is doing, it is giving me the count of elements inside the set. So there are 5 elements, it's saying 5. Now we are applying the membership operations on the set. So you can absolutely apply it. So which are in and not in. So this is a program to demonstrate the in and not in on a set. So I have a set which is 1, 2, 3, and I printed the set. So the set is over here. So you can see 1, 2, 3 is printed on the screen for you. And then I'm saying 4 in S. The in operation will return true if it is present, else false. Okay, so 4 is not present, so I got a false over here. So 2 in S, yes, it is there, so it is returning a true for me. Okay, right. So these are the two outcomes of these two print statements. And in the next print statement, I said 5 not in S. Okay, so 5 not in S. S it is not in the set S, so it is returning a true for me. Okay, so next I'm saying 1 not in S. 1 is there in S, so it is giving me a false. Okay, so this is application of the membership operations on a set. So the two membership operations are in and not in. So in will actually return true if it is there, false otherwise. Not in will return true if it is not there, false otherwise. Okay, so is membership operations applied on sets clear to my class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the next methods are is subset. Okay, so is subset method and is superset methods. Okay, so these, and if you want to check the superset, you can say greater than or equal to. I already have shown you this slide. The first set over here, there are two sets here. So S is the first set and the next one is the other set. S and T here are the sets over here. And I want to compare, okay, whether A is a subset of T. And here I'm saying whether S is the superset of T. Okay, so I can also use this is subset method, or I can also use this comparison operation. Anything is correct. Okay, you can put anything in the program. Okay, so I have a set which is 1, 2, 3, and I have another set which is 1, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3. Then I have printed both the sets on the screen for you. And then what I did, I want to find out whether S is subset of T. So what I did, I have used the comparison operation between the two sets, wherein I said S is subset less than or equal to T. What does less than or equal to say? Less than or equal to says that S is a subset of T. Okay. But if I simply say less than, what does it say? What does it represent? If I simply give less than, what does it represent?
Proper subset.
It represents proper subsets. I already have shown you that slide. Okay. So here I want to check whether it is a subset or not. So I'm saying S is less than or equal to T. Okay. So I can also give it in this manner, or I can also use the method which is subset. Okay. So how I give it in the program? So I'm saying S dot is a subset, and in the function. Okay. So subset is a function or a method. So you're saying it is a method. So what you're passing T as an argument into this particular is subset. So you can see that in the result, S is subset of T. Yes, it is a subset. So it is saying 1, 2, and 3 is a subset. Okay, so I'm saying S is subset of T. So in both the cases, it is giving me a true over here. Okay, so to show you that I can also use comparison operations, or I can also use is subset method. Okay, right. Now how to use is superset. Okay, so is superset can be used in the similar way like how I have used the subset. So wherein I can also use greater than or equal to, or I can use the method is superset. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, S as 1, 2, 3, and I have the same T over here. So I want to check whether T is the superset of S. Yes, it is a superset. So it is giving me a true over here. So here I'm not checking S, I am checking for T. Okay, so T is obviously the superset of S. So it's giving me a true over here. In the next case, I'm checking S is superset of T or not by just using the method. So S is not the superset of T. So that's why I got a false over here. Okay, so make sure that you're giving the sets properly while calling the method. Okay, fine. So this is regarding is subset and is superset. You can also use comparison operations, or you can use the methods is subset and is superset. Is this slide clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so we'll again get back to the concepts of union, intersection, and all that. But here I have added two more methods over here for you. Okay, so what are the two more methods I have added? So the two more methods I have added are intersection underscore update and difference underscore update. Okay, when I was discussing about the set operations, I have discussed about the union method. I have discussed about the intersection method. I discussed about the difference method, and I discussed about the symmetric difference method. But the two things which are added on over here for you is what? One is the intersection update, and the other one is difference update. Okay, we'll see these methods. So these are the set methods, other set methods. So the first set method is union method. You can give union, or you can also give as this pipeline operator. You call this as the pipeline operator, right? You'll be having two like this, two lines. Okay, so with a broken gap. So this operation is called as, like you also call it as the pipeline operator. Okay, so you can also say, if you say S pipeline, or you can say S or, okay, so something like this. So it means that it is the union operation. So you can also say A dot union B, or else you can say A this one. Okay, so you can say A union B in terms of symbolic representation with the pipeline. So I'm saying I have two sets, A is equal to 1, 2, 3, and set B is 4, 5, 3, 2. Okay, so I am saying union, A union B. I am just using the method. So what I said, I have just look for the syntax, girls. I am saying A dot union B. Okay, I can also say B dot union A. Both are same. Okay, right. So I have used that. And what happened? It is taking the union, all the elements from set A, and also B, eliminating duplicates. Okay, so so the duplicates are eliminated. So there are 2 times 2 and 2 times 3. So one time it is eliminated. So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the similar way, other than giving the method, I can also say A like this. Okay. So symbolically also I can represent the union. So I got the answer. So this is regarding the union operation. So if you want to apply union between two sets, you can also use union method, else you can also use this pipeline symbol to perform the union between two sets. Is this clear, Ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so now we'll see the second one. Okay, so the second one is the intersection. Okay, so intersection is bringing out the common elements between the both the sets, right? So I have a set which is 1, 2, 3, and another set is this one. So I want to find out the intersection, meaning that I want the common elements in set A and B. So I can also use this intersection method. So the intersection method is A dot intersection B. Okay, and also I can use this AND symbol to actually find out the intersection. So AND symbol between two sets will perform the intersection for me. I can also give a method, or else I can also give an AND symbol between the two sets. Okay, both are same. Okay, so both are same. Okay, so when you apply it on the sets, because you can don't get confused with AND. Here you're applying it on the set. When you're applying it on the set, it will be taking it like bringing out the common elements between both the sets. Okay, so here what are the elements that are common in both set A and set B? 2 and 3. So I'm getting 2 and 3. So I can give it using a method, or I can say A and B also. Is this intersection clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, moving on to the next method. So the next method is intersection update. Okay, so now what does it mean by intersection update? So I just have said A and B. So we already have seen what is the outcome of A and B. So when I have applied A and B, when I am doing an AND over here, it means that I want the common elements between the two sets A and B. So I just got the two elements out of A and B, which are 2 and 3. After that, I just have printed the set A. I just have printed it to make the intersection update more clear to you. When I have printed the elements of A, what are the elements inside the A? The elements inside the A are 1, 2, and 3. The set as it is. The set as it is. Okay, so the set as it is, like how I have given in the beginning of the program, the set is as it is. Okay, it just made an operation, gave the result to you. You can also put this result into another set also. Okay, but here I didn't wanted to keep it in another set. I just have used the print statement and printed it on the screen. But no modification to the sets A and set B was made when I performed an AND operation over here. But if I'm doing an intersection update operation, I said A dot intersect underscore update B. Okay, and I passed B into it. Okay, so now what happens is when I bring out the common things and store it in A. Okay, so I'm saying A dot, right? Because I'm saying A dot, what will happen is the intersection will be calculated between the two sets. The intersection result is 2, 3. This 2, 3 will be stored in the set A. Okay, now modification to the set A is being made. To show you that, I have written a print statement over here. I said A intersection update B has changed my set. Now when I have printed the set A, what is the answer in set A? The answer in set A is 2, 3. What should be there in A? A is having elements 1, 2, 3. So this was the original set. But what happened? Now the set has been modified, updated. Okay. So to what elements? To the elements that are common between A and B. That is what is called as intersection update. Is it clear, Ma, what is intersection update? Or do you want me to repeat it again for you?
Once repeat, ma'am.
Okay, so intersection update, what happens with the intersect? Tell me what is the intersect? Tell me what is
Common,
intersect?
ma'am.
Common, right? సో సెట్ ఏకి సెట్ బికి ఏమైనా మోడిఫికేషన్స్ జరిగాయా మీరు ఇంటర్సెక్షన్ చేసినప్పుడు?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
They're as it is అన్నమాట. Okay, so if A is having 1, 2, 3 and B is having 4, 5, 3, 3, 2. Okay, so ఇలాగా రెండు సెట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. I have two sets like this, A and B, and this is intersect operation. What is the third line? What is the third line in the program here?
It is intersection operation, ma'am. A and B.
Is it intersection update or it is intersection?
It is intersection, ma'am.
It is only intersection. Okay, after the intersection I have printed the set A. What is the outcome of this particular set A? What will
1,
this print
2, 3.
statement print to me? It will print the set, original set for me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, no modifications done to set A, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
intersection, yes, intersection operation will not do any modifications to the given sets. If I'm saying A and B, okay, so here A is a set and B is a set. Both the sets I'm giving for the intersection operation. It will not make any modifications to set A or set B. It will not make any modifications. It will simply compute the result for you, and the result is 2, 3, and the result is given to you. You just need to take the result. Okay, where modifications are not done to set A or set B. That is intersection. Now, what is meant by intersection update is, it is similar to intersection, but what will happen is the result that you got. What is the result that you get in A intersection B in this particular case?
2, 3.
So the result is 2, 3, right? So what will happen is this result will be assigned to A. A set will go off. What is there in A set? A set is having 1, 2, 3, right? Now that set will go off. Now what A will be holding? A will be holding the resultant. That is what is called as intersection update. Now A will be holding the result here in this particular statement. So I said A dot intersection update B. I said A dot intersection update B. Now what will happen? The result is 2, 3. What will happen? The result will be assigned to A now. So A's already set is there, no? A is already having 1, 2, 3 in it. That 1, 2, 3, that entire set will go off. Only the result will be added to, will be assigned. The result will be assigned to set A. So to show you that, I have taken this print statement. I have printed A for you on the output. to show you the result. So what is the set that is there in A now? What are the elements that are there in A now? 2 and 3, which is nothing but the result of 2 comma 3, which is the result of A intersection B, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. That is what is intersection update. Is it clear now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we'll see the next method. Okay, so the next method is difference method. So you can also use the difference method, or else you can also use S minus T or T minus S. Anything is valid. Okay, so you can use this minus. Okay, so minus to represent the difference between the sets. So I have a set 1, 2, 3, and I have another set like this. And I want to find the difference between A minus B. I want to compute A minus B. So I said A dot difference B. So what will be the answer? So I can, what is A minus B? What is the result of A minus B?
1.
Only elements in A,
1,
right?
ma'am.
1, ma'am.
1, right? So 1 is the answer. Very good. Okay, so I can also use this method. So I can also use A dot difference B, or else I can simply say A minus B. Okay, or else I can simply say A minus B. Okay, I can also say B dot difference A, or I can simply say B minus A. Okay, so this will give me the difference. Okay, and I try to print the set A and B for you, because I will be explaining difference update in the next slide. So I think by the logic that I have applied for intersection update, you can understand the difference between difference and difference update. Is there any modification done to set A and set B after the difference operation?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No difference, right? Set A is as it is, set B is as it is. It just have computed the resultant and it just have given you the output. Now coming to the next case, next method, which is difference update. Now what will this difference update do? The difference will be added to the set A. Okay, so there will be modifications. Set A, the result will be assigned to set A. So set A will lose its original set, and now the result will be the set A. So I'm saying A dot difference update B. So what is the result of this particular operation A minus B over here? So what is A minus B? So it is like A is equal to A minus B and A. So it is like this operation. So I'm saying A is equal to A minus B. What I am saying do A minus B and assign the result to A. So what will happen? A will lose its original data, right? Say for example, initially A is equal to 7. Say that A is equal to 7 and B is equal to 3 అనుకోండి. సో ఏం చేస్తున్నాను 7 minus 3 చేసినప్పుడు 4 వచ్చింది. ఇప్పుడు A లో ఏం పెడుతున్నాను నేను 4 పెడుతున్నాను.
4.
So A's value is now 4 or 7.
4, ma'am.
That's what is called as difference update. Okay, so what you are doing is in difference you are not doing this assignment, but in the difference update you are doing this assignment. Okay, so you are taking the difference between A and B, set A and B. So the difference between set A and B is nothing but 1. Okay, so this is the set, right? So this is the difference. This is the result of A minus B. Now what you are doing, you are assigning this difference to A. Now what is A? A will be holding the result of A minus B. So when I try to print the answer, so I am having A to be 1, the result of A minus B. Is this difference and difference update clear to my entire class?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll see the last one and wind off this session. So the last method is symmetric difference. Okay, so I already told you what is this symmetric difference. Okay, so the symmetric difference is the elements only in set A and set B. Okay. So I also represent it in this particular manner as a cap. So I say S cap T. So I'm saying A is equal to 1, 3, and these are the two sets. And I printed A and B. There won't be any modifications here. Okay. So update and untene, there will be modifications. If there is an update in the method, then only the resultant is assigned to the first set. Okay. So only in one group. Okay. So fine. Okay. Fine. How I'm giving the method? So I'm giving the method in this way. So just look for the syntax. So I'm saying A dot symmetric underscore difference, and then I'm passing B into it. Okay, right. So I'm saying A cap B, which is also similar to symmetric difference. I can give it in this way or I can give it in this way. Okay, any of the ways is valid. So what will be the answer? So the answer is this. Okay, so the elements only in A and the elements only in B, not the common ones. We are taking off the common ones. The common ones are 2 and 3. So we are taking off the common ones and keeping the elements that are only in A and only in B. Okay, so which are only in one group. So I'm saying 1, 4, 5. Okay, so which are only in one group. Okay, fine. So this is symmetric difference. Is this understood?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so with this I'm closing my class. We'll see in tomorrow's class.